What if I told you that one single habit could transform your life, making you truly unstoppable? And what if the proof lies in the story of a man who went from being an overlooked prince to one of the most powerful emperors in history? Stay with me, because this isn't just a history lesson. It's a blueprint for your own success. And the secret habit we're about to uncover might be the one thing holding you back from achieving your own greatness. Let's travel back in time to ancient India, over 2,000 years ago. A boy named Ashoka is born into the royal Mauryan dynasty. But don't picture a life of pure luxury. He wasn't the crown prince, not the chosen one. He was one of many sons, often overlooked and underestimated by his own father, the Emperor Bindusara. From a young age, Ashoka felt like an outsider in his own home. While his brothers were groomed for leadership, he was seen as aggressive, ambitious, and perhaps a little too rough around the edges. This early rejection could have broken him. He could have resigned himself to a life in the shadows. But instead, it ignited a fire within him. He developed a fierce determination to prove everyone wrong. He knew that if he wanted to claim his place in the world, he couldn't rely on birthright alone. He had to forge his own destiny. And this is where our story truly begins, with a young man who decides he will not be defined by the opinions of others. While his brothers enjoyed the comforts of the palace, Ashoka began to cultivate a habit. It wasn't something grand or complicated. It was simple, yet incredibly powerful. Every single day without fail, he dedicated a portion of his time to deliberate practice and self-improvement. While others were idle, he was learning. He immersed himself in military strategy, studying the tactics of the greatest generals. He trained relentlessly in combat, honing his skills with a sword and on horseback until he was second to none. He wasn't just passing the time, he was investing it. Think about that for a moment. He treated his time not as something to be spent, but as a resource to be strategically invested in his future self. Each hour spent studying was a brick laid in the foundation of his future empire. Each grueling training session was a step closer to becoming the warrior he needed to be. This wasn't about short-term gains. It was a long-term vision fueled by an unwavering daily habit. He understood a principle that many of us forget. Consistency is the engine of achievement. When his father sent him to quell rebellions in far-off provinces like Avanti, it wasn't a punishment, it was a test. And because of his years of preparation, Ashoka didn't just succeed, he excelled. He demonstrated not only his military prowess, but also his ability to govern, to connect with the people, and to command respect. His reputation began to grow, not as just another prince, but as a formidable leader in his own right. He was no longer the boy in the shadows. He was a force to be reckoned with. Upon his father's death, the succession crisis that everyone feared finally erupted. The throne was up for grabs, and a brutal power struggle ensued between the brothers. It was here that Ashoka's years of relentless preparation paid off. His strategic mind, his combat skills, and the loyalty he had earned from his soldiers gave him the decisive edge. The fight was bloody and difficult, but his habit of constant improvement had made him unstoppable. He ascended the throne, not as the chosen son, but as the most capable one. He became Ashoka the Great. But becoming king was just the beginning. His ambition didn't stop there. He wanted to expand the Mauryan Empire to its greatest extent. He launched a series of military campaigns, conquering kingdom after kingdom. His army was the most disciplined, his strategies the most brilliant, all because his core habit of continuous learning and refinement was now applied on a massive scale. He wasn't just a king, he was a master of his craft. His final conquest was the kingdom of Kalinga. The battle was horrific, a brutal display of military might. Ashoka won, but the victory came at a terrible cost. Walking through the battlefield, witnessing the immense suffering and loss of life, something inside him shattered. The king who had built his entire life on being unstoppable was suddenly stopped in his tracks by the weight of his own actions. This moment of profound crisis could have destroyed him. But instead, he turned to that same core habit that had brought him to power: self-improvement. Only this time, he wasn't focused on military conquest, but on moral and spiritual growth. He embraced Buddhism and dedicated the rest of his life to a new kind of conquest, a conquest of peace, compassion, and dharma, or righteous conduct. He replaced his policy of aggression with a policy of benevolence. He built hospitals for people and animals, dug wells, and planted trees along roads for travelers. He sent envoys of peace, not war, to other nations. He inscribed his new philosophy on pillars and rocks throughout his vast empire for everyone to see. The man once known as Ashoka the Fierce transformed himself into Ashoka the Righteous. He applied the same unstoppable drive that made him a conqueror to becoming a benefactor for all of humanity. He used his power not to dominate the world, but to serve it. So, what was the one habit that made him unstoppable? It wasn't just military training or reading books. The habit was the disciplined daily utilization of his time for focused self-improvement. It was the commitment to being better today than he was yesterday, every single day. When he was a young prince, he used it to become a warrior. As an emperor, he used it to become a conqueror. And after his transformation, he used that very same habit to become one of history's most enlightened rulers. The goal changed, but the fundamental habit remained the same. This story isn't just about a king from long ago. It's about you. It's about the power you hold in your hands right now. Look at your day. We all have the same 24 hours. The difference between who you are and who you want to become lies in how you use that time. Are you spending it, or are you investing it? Are you scrolling aimlessly, or are you learning a new skill? Are you making excuses, or are you taking that one small, consistent step toward your goal? You don't need to be born a prince or have grand resources to start. Ashoka's journey began with a feeling of being overlooked. He started with what he had: his time and his will. Your empire might not be land and armies. It might be a business you want to build, a skill you want to master, a body you want to transform, or a mind you want to expand. The principle is exactly the same. That 1 hour a day you invest in learning, practicing, creating, or exercising, that is what builds your kingdom. Consistency is what separates the amateur from the master, the dreamer from the achiever. It's not about one heroic effort. It's about the small, seemingly insignificant actions you take every single day that compound over time into unstoppable momentum. Ashoka became a king long before he ever wore a crown because he had the habits of a king. He prepared for the position he wanted, not the one he had. So, I'll end with a question for you to reflect on. What is the one kingdom you want to build in your own life? And what is the one daily habit, the one strategic investment of your time, that you can start today to make yourself unstoppable in achieving it? Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content that empowers you, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next video.